Not tilapia. Ah, throw in the other camera. Definitely not tilapia. I was marking some good fish right here. Oh yeah. I was marking I was marking some good fish. That's why I was kind of staring down at my fish finder. And it looks like there was a pretty good school down there, and sure enough, as soon as this lure passed right through them, boom, hooked up. This one kind of feels like a little better one. Might be a keeper. He's right on top over here. Oh yeah. There's a school right underneath me, actually. I was wondering why no one's really over here. It's kind of like, not an old honey hole, but usually you see a lot of tilapia guys out here, and they throw a cast net and pick up tilapia, and it's pretty popular. And there's kind of like some tilapia beds down here. So I know these redfish, it's kind of easy pickings for them. Yeah, this one might be a keeper. It's pulling. It's been a while since I've actually fought a red out here. Like I said earlier, last time I was out here was back in September. I think like either a week after or a week before my birthday. And I had actually just a laser surgery, a CO2 laser surgery the weekend before. So it was still kind of iffy about coming out here. Didn't want to get infections and, you know, have to lose an arm or something. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh yeah. Come on. These bigger ones don't like to give up too fast. And you don't want to pull the hook, so kind of just let them kind of play them out. Loosen and drag when it gets a little closer to the kayak, so he won't pull those hooks. But this was actually hooked pretty good. Damn! Boom! Numero uno. Actually pretty good size. Maybe close to 27, 28. Let's find out. And we are keeping fish today, so this will be number one. There you go. Numero uno. Let's see what he goes. Right at 20. Right at 27. One number 27-inch red. And we are definitely keeping today. Look at that one. Alright, so now that I got a little bit of a break, kind of trying to find that school that was in here. Let me give you a rundown of how I like to troll this lake. It's not very hard. Just gotta be patient sometimes, because these fish will stay in schools and they'll cruise through the whole lake. Being on a boat's a lot different because you can burn from different spots to different spots. But being on a kayak, you're not going 20-30 miles an hour on the lake. You're only doing 2-3 miles an hour. So you gotta kind of weigh your options and find ledges and find drop-offs and find some structure on water, and, you know, find bait, really, essentially. The way that I like to do it is to section out the water column. I got one lure that'll stay between 5 and maybe 7 foot depending on how fast I'm going, and I have another one that's at about 10 to 12 foot, again depending on how fast I'm going. One lure based on its weight will sink a lot faster, and if I slow down, that bait will tend to drop lower in the water column. Same thing with the lighter one. It'll stay at about 5 foot if I'm going maybe a mile an hour, mile and a half. But if I slow down, it'll drop down to maybe 8, 9, or 10 foot if I'm slow pedaling, and if you're in a paddle kayak, slow paddling. So if I can cover different areas of the water column, and if I run through a school and a school's at 10 foot or 15, my deeper lure will run through that school. Or if they're a lot higher, my higher lure will run through that school depending on where they're at. And points that I like to kind of find are drop-offs to where they go from maybe 10 foot down to 20, or even from 5 foot down to 15 foot. Bait usually swims along these channels and along these ledges, and essentially these redfish are just gorging on shad and whatever easy bait fish is out here. So if you don't have a fish finder, I used to use Navionics on my phone. It does burn your battery a little bit, but if you can just have that on your phone and use it while you're cruising around this lake, you can find those drop-offs, and those will give you the kind of structure that you're going to be looking for when you're looking for reds out here. And another thing is kind of be patient. Sometimes you find a school, sometimes you don't. My first hit was an hour ago, and I finally picked one up, and it's 9 o'clock. I launched at 7, so it's been 2 hours and I've only picked up one keeper fish, but that's fishing. So if you have a little bit of patience, and those are some easy tips on kind of how I do it out here. A lot of guys do it differently. They'll troll a spoon, they'll troll a real deep diver, 20, 25 foot, and sometimes the fish will hang out that deep, but it just depends on where they're eating, what they're chasing. These freshwater reds, man, they like to just gorge. And so when you pull them out, some of the bigger 30 inchers, they're giant footballs, because that's all they're doing. They're just cruising around, following that bait and gorging on all the little shad and tilapia that's out here. Some other guys will anchor up and they'll throw dead shrimp or crawfish or whatever cut bait that they can catch with a cast net. But I'm not a stay in one area kind of guy, especially if it's just anchoring up and throwing, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're hoping that school's gonna run right through you and come and pick up your bait. And being in such a big lake and big open area, you're kind of like playing the lottery when you do that, unless you have your own honey holes and certain areas and certain time of the year that that these fish are gonna follow these certain patterns. But that's not what I like to do. I'm gonna make a few more passes in this little area. Let's see if I can pick up 1 or 2 more.